Yeah, how we deal with others and how we are, because in the relationships, how we are, it comes out. How it kind of our inner being is reflected in how we behave with others, right? So no wonder why we teach our children right from the beginning, if we are good parents, to be nice, to share, to be kind, don't hit. Because it's easier to be not nice, as we all know. It's way easier to be not nice, to be not sharing, to be not caring, to be egoistic. It's way easier. To be the opposite of that is very difficult. It's like swimming upstream. No? Like, this is very difficult. But it's good. This is the one thing we have, what impels us to work actually against our egoism, is this intuition, but it's good. Because it's good. Yeah. So some have this more, some have it less, but we have to develop that inner understanding of what is good and what is bad, because then you have an inner compass of how to behave, right? And you understand. And you understand also when you did something wrong, oh, that was not right, and you don't feel good somehow or other. And it's not sentimental. Sometimes people think, oh, feeling are all sentimental, and it's just some either chemicals or just some emotions or something. But there's a difference between sentimental feelings, so to say, and true feelings, right? And in Sanskrit, this is called rasa. These feelings are called rasa. And this is most important. Rasa is our inner experience, how we feel. That's very important. Yeah? And it's said in the spiritual world, there's a spiritual reality beyond this world, which is more or less composed of rasa. It's composed of experience. It's all about experience and happiness in the end. It's about real happiness. And this rasa comes out through the behavior and interaction of the spiritual entities in the spiritual world. This is how the rasa unfolds. Right? It's very difficult to become happy alone. Of course, nowadays with the internet, you kind of say, I don't need anyone of the internet. But still, the internet is composed of many people. So you rarely become happy alone. But it's a very superficial life then. Like online, like most things we do online is kind of interact with other people, but in a kind of distant way. But still, it's with other people. Or like a movie. Who watches movies where there are no actors? Why are there no movies where there are no actors? It's kind of a weird idea, but once I saw a movie, I don't know the name, I kind of know the name somehow or other. Maybe you know the movie, it was Kavana Skvatzel or something like this. You know this movie? He laughs. No, it has a real weird name. It was like from the 90s or 80s even, which is a movie composed just of pictures, giving like an overview of society or something. So there was no real plot in one sense, like an art movie or something. And okay, you can watch it maybe once. No, artistic, but no people, no interaction, no dialogue. No, it's very boring actually. But brahmacharis only watch boring movies because they don't watch anything else. This was the max you can do. Watch a movie. Anyway, but what is said that the spiritual world is there is in interaction. There are spiritual beings, and in the center is the supreme spiritual being, who is called God by many, and we call this supreme being Krishna, Krishna or Govinda, also a nice name. And he's the perfect being in sharing this, love and the interaction. And it's all about this harmonic, wonderful spiritual exchange between these beings. And when I say God is a he, yes, God is a he, but not only, because he has also the female aspect. So, don't worry. Because, why is God always a he? Yeah, it's true, because he's the Purusha, etc., the Purusha, the enjoyer. But there is another entity who is his you can say, pleasure potency, which is so important for him that you can almost call this pleasure potency, who is the female aspect, God. Yeah, that what is most important to God is, in one sense, is actually God, you can say, almost. No? Because if this is more important to him than anything else, even himself in one sense, then you can say this is actually God. And this pleasure potency is called Radharani. Radharani or Radha, Shri Radha. Yeah. So in this song which we sing, every morning we sing this song, is a meditation on the spiritual world. Describes actually many aspects of the spiritual world and starts with this line you see in the songbook, Jaya Radha Madhava. So this song starts with this Radha, glorifying Radharani, and Madhava, what is another name of Krishna. Kunja Bihari. And I don't want to go into all the details now. It would be a lecture in itself to explain the song, but it more or less explains Radha and Madhava residing in their wonderful spiritual reality, enjoying their loving exchanges, and being like a role model, a prime example for everyone to follow in their behavior to become real, wholesome, healthy, and happy human beings. More or less, this is a very nice meditation for us. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chanavalabha Girivardhari Jai Gopi Chanavalabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajachanarandana Yashodanandana Brajachanarandana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chana Balaba Girivardhari Gopi Chana Balaba Gopi Chana Balaba Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki. Okay, before I start, so who is here now for this EU program, or what is it? You and you. Okay, you too. And okay, so I just wonder who knows what. Who knows what? Maybe make a quiz show or something to find out who knows what. But so you're a little bit familiar with this here? Yes? Okay. Sprecht ihr Deutsch oder English? Oh, English. But you're familiar with Krishna consciousness, philosophy, something. Okay. You're not complete new in one sense. You know what this book is, Srimad Bhagavatam? Okay, good. Okay. Because I have to know, because if sometimes we have an audience who don't know, so I give a kind of an introduction to the Bhagavatam itself. So you know. Okay, good. So.
Yeah, maybe the manager from Workaway, so that fish.
Who? Oh, you, yeah.
So she maybe is
Not so familiar. But now you have been here a couple of days, so you're, yeah, okay. Okay, so it's good. Okay, so. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from, I don't see it actually. What's 1816. Okay. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order, chapter 18, Prithu Maharaj milks the earth planet. Text 16. Daiteya Danavavatsam. Daiteya Danavavatsam. Praladam Asurashabham. Praladam Asurashabham. Vidaya Duduhan Kshiram. Vidaya Duduhan Kshiram. Ayapatre Surasavam. Ayapatre Surasavam. Daiteya Danavavatsam. Praladam Asurashabham. Vidaya Duduhan Kshiram. Ayapatre Surasavam. Daiteya Danavavatsam. Praladam Asurashabham. Duduhan Kshiram. Vaishnavis. Daiteya Danavavatsam. Praladam Asurashabham. Vidaya Duduhan Kshiram. Ayapatre Surasavam. Daiteya Danavavatsam Paladama Surashabham Vidaya Duduhan Kshiram Ayapatre Surasavam Daiteya Danavavatsam Paladama Surashabham Vidaya Duduhan Kshiram Ayapatre Surasavam Daiteya, the sons of Diti, Danava, demons, Vatsam, the calf, Praladam, Pralad Maharaj, Asura, demon, Rishabham, the chief, Vidaya, making, Aduduhan, they milked out, Kshiram, milk, Ayaha, iron, Patre, in a pot, Sura, liquor, Asavam, fermented liquids like beer. Translation. The sons of Diti and the demons transformed Prahlad Maharaj, who was born in an Asura family, into a calf, and they extracted various kinds. Kannst du dich hier irgendwie so hinsetzen, dass du nicht so laut lesen musst? Weil es ist ein bisschen, irgendwie oder so rüberrutschen, dann kannst du es besser vorlesen oder so. So nochmal. The sons of Diti and the demons transformed Prahlad Maharaj, who was born in an Asura family, into a calf, and they extracted various kinds of liquor and beer, which they put into a pot made of iron. Purport. The demons also have their own types of beverages, in the form of liquors and beers, just as the demigods use soma rasa for their drinking purposes. The demons born of Diti take great pleasure in drinking wine and beer. Even today, people of demonic nature are very much addicted to liquor and beer. The name of Prahlad Maharaj is very significant in this connection, because Prahlad Maharaj was born in a family of demons as the son of Hiranyakashipu. By his mercy, the demons were and still are able to have their drinks in the form of wine and beer. The word ayaha, iron, is very significant. Whereas the nectarian soma was put in a golden pot, the liquors and beers were put in an iron pot. Because the liquor and beer are inferior, they are placed in an iron pot, and because soma rasa is superior, it is placed in a golden pot. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gnanjana Salakaya Chakshu Militam Jena Tasmaya Shri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Bangong Langayate Garim Yat Kripatamang Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swavantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So the sons of Diti and the demons transformed Prahlad Maharaj, who was born in an Asura family, into a calf, and they extracted various kinds of liquor and beer, which they put into a pot made of iron. Hare Krishna. So, according to this book here, Srimad Bhagavatam, fermented liquors, fermented alcoholic drinks are somehow rather connected with the so-called Asuras. The word Asura is translated here as demon, and it means the opposite of the godly beings. Sura means the godly beings, those who are in harmony with God and His nature, and they are God-abiding. And someone who has the opposite tendencies, who is not God surrendered and into who the laws of nature, the true laws of nature, is called Asura. So demon is a translation of that. So someone who is against the divine order. So in that sense, negative, right? And here is spoken about drinks, liquor, beer, and fermented drinks, alcoholic drinks, as being in connection with these asuric, negative tendencies. So it's interesting, yeah? So that means someone who wants to be not asura, someone who wants to be sura, or divine, or spiritual, you can say spiritual actually, he does not consume alcoholic drinks. So this is the practical conclusion, what we get out of this verse. And I think for most of us that should be obvious. Firstly, of course, when we come in contact with the Hare Krishna movement, we are very quickly introduced with the so-called 4 regulative principles, and one of which is to not consume any intoxicants, as we know. And when I came in contact with Krishna consciousness, I was, of course, consuming all kinds of intoxicants. But I just wonder how, when I first heard about it, how I reacted to it. And I cannot really remember. So I think at that time it was kind of obvious to me too, right? That there is no issue with that. That is actually true that if you want to be a spiritual person, you cannot be intoxicated. So for me, intuitively, that was okay, even though I was doing these things. As I remember, when I started doing all kinds of intoxication, I always knew kind of that it's not right. It's not good, it's not perfect. But you do because somehow or other, why you do it? Because of friends, because you want to, because you're curious, and you try all kinds of intoxication. I think most of us have their experiences, but somehow or other, you always know, it's not so good, you shouldn't do that. So, and then when I came in contact with Krishna consciousness, and this point was strongly communicated in his books, which I liked a lot, and I saw a lot of very helpful information here inside. Actually, it was more a revelation, and it was amazing to get into contact with this knowledge. Then, I could understand. I shouldn't do that. But you're used to it. Sometimes you like it, and you have to work yourself out of it. But when we become free from intoxication, it's very, very wonderful. Because then you look back and say, actually, I was suffering through this. Actually, I was not happy. Some can handle it better, and some can handle it not so well. Right? Some can really say, no, I just smoke when I go to a party. When I smoke 2-3 cigarettes or something, that's it. Or I just drink on very certain occasions, an Achterl wine. I'm from Austria. Actually, where I'm from, it is a whole wine region. They grow a lot of wine there. Weintrauben, grapes. They grow so many grapes. That's a kind of a little bit more, famous area from Austria where they grow. And in this they grow this since like 1,000 years, because the Romans brought it, right? Because this was all conquered by the Romans, and from south of Vienna. So even Vienna was called Vindobona, and which is connected somehow with the word wine, Vindobona. So the Romans brought from Italy, brought it there, and they grow it there, and you need a certain climate, you need a certain angle of the sun, right? The Südhang, so that you get the grapes grow nicely, and then in certain areas grapes grow better, and then how you produce them, and then you get this delicious wine, right? Delicious. There are people who say that it's delicious. They say, oh, it's very, very fine wine, it's great. And then sometimes such a bottle costs thousands of euros, right? It's amazing what they can do. So anyway, but some can say, I drink only an Achterl wine. Just sometimes. And some drink and they become intoxicated, become alcoholics, and it ruins their whole life. Right? They cannot handle it. Some can even handle heroin and say, only sometimes I take a little bit heroin and it's nice, it's good, but I don't become addicted. Some can even do that. But many people cannot, and they get completely destroyed by the drugs. or psychedelic drugs. Just take it like in a shamanic rite, and to make like my astral travels, and it opens my mind, and can use it somehow. And that's the reason why they had this in this more or less Tamaguna societies. They had this medicine man, who used this, and he knew how to apply it and to help the people in some way or other. It's not a very sattvic, as we say, sattvic way of medicine, right? It's tamasic, but it has, in one sense, its purpose, if someone can handle it. But the kids nowadays, they just take it and then go to a techno party, and then, of course, destroy their whole brain because with this, because it's not made for that, right? But, so as I said, I was also, of course, into all these things, but I understood actually it's not good. And when you become free of it and you look back, you can really say, oh, I'm so happy that I don't take drugs anymore, that I don't drink anymore, that I don't smoke anymore. Who loved smoking cigarettes? Who likes smoking cigarettes? I never liked it. I started because of whatever, and then you really become addicted. Such a strong addiction, actually, cigarettes. Maybe some of you were smoking. Maybe some of us still smoking. I don't know. I hope not. I wish you not. But this was the worst. This was the last thing I had to stop in my becoming clean, so to say. Everything else was kind of easy. Yeah, kind of easy. But smoking is amazing how difficult this is to give up. And now, I'm so happy I don't smoke anymore. Oh. And not even a problem, it doesn't even cross my mind. Oh, maybe smoke a cigarette. Go to the shop, buy some cigarettes, some nice Marlboro, or Chesterfield, or Gaulois, or whatever they still have. I don't know if this still exists. Yeah. So, I'm free, completely free. And all the other things, I don't have to drink a beer anymore. It doesn't cross my mind when I go to Munich or something, or when I'm here and then you see these good Bavarians who say, we're drinking beer. I don't think, so ein kühles, nasses im Sommer, ja. So, that would be really nice. Because I was growing up with beer. My parents were drinking beer all the time. There was a house, we had a bar at home, and this is also when I was the first time completely drunk, when my parents were gone, and I invited two friends over, and I was already 14, so it's okay. So I was my first time completely drunk, so I was not like 10 or something. So I was kind of okayish, 14, and it was terrible. But somehow or other, it was so funny somehow. Start drinking. Yeah. Anyway, I'm so happy that I don't do this anymore, which is bothersome. So, you can become free of it, and you can become free of all kinds of attachment. And this is kind of gross, right? This is kind of gross. We have to deal with other kinds of attachments where we are still, oh man, it bothers me. Some pride, some more subtle, but still, pride, or some envy, or some whatever bad things you have in yourself. You think, man, I wouldn't, or man or woman, I don't know. Don't say man. We don't. Yeah. Krishna, I would like to not have that, or some issues, mental issues, or some insecurities, or every one of us has issues, right? And it's good to see them, and there is a way out of it, a great way out of it. Yeah? And this great way is Krishna consciousness. And I don't say that in regards to some serious psychological issues, because some people have serious psychological issues, and I wouldn't say, just eat prasadam and chant Hare Krishna, and tomorrow you're perfectly sane. No, this is not, okay? So I am not, it can work, but sometimes you need also some professional help, and even medication. I knew people who, because I'm not for medication or more or less, but some people need heavy psychological drugs, because if they don't take them, they go loony like anything. Some are I really must say, they are like condemned, right, to take that. So heavy. But this is rarely the case. So, but if you have like these regular issues, which I mentioned, like insecurities, some, bad mood, whatever, Krishna consciousness is a very good way out. It's a really, because I can see it in myself that it worked in so many ways to give me a proper self-understanding and a way how to deal with my issues. And it purifies me and enables me to become healthy, actually really healthy, yeah? Also in the spiritual way, healthy. And you're not troubled anymore by your crazy mind. Yeah. So, but for that, you need to really work on yourself. Yeah. You have to really work on yourself and take it serious. And then, as I said, I just want to speak about this. If you get into this healthy, wholesome, happy, purified being, yeah, when you get the best out of you, so to say, you feel really great. Say, wow, everything can be so good. And all the troubles I had, I worked myself out of it, and it's not necessary anymore. And you feel really, everything is fine, everything is good, it's great. Yeah, it can be like that. But for that, we have to see also what to do, and we have to be on it, and we have to be very busy. No, fleißig. How you say fleißig? Yeah, something like this. Yeah, hardworking. No. And our masters and acharyas, they are like these beings and these persons who made that, yeah, and they don't have any issue anymore. They don't have issues even in the worst situation where everyone would have an issue, where everyone would have a problem or worries, but they don't have it anymore. And the central point is because they don't identify anymore with the body and the mind. This is like the complete solution to the whole thing. They don't identify anymore with the body and the mind. And because they see, I'm a soul, I'm a spiritual being. And that means they understand I'm eternal. They completely understand I'm eternal. And through this, because they reside in this eternal consciousness, they see the obvious illusion of the material reality because it's temporary. They are like in this liberated space, and then you see the whole material world, creation, as just a manifestation, like a complete temporary manifestation in eternity. And why should you take that so serious? Because you see, tomorrow everything will be gone. Everything will be gone. The whole Germany will be gone, the whole Europe will be gone, the whole earth will be gone, the whole universe will be gone, everyone will be gone in this manifestation. Because matter dissolves, as it said in the Bible, Asche zu Asche, Staub zu Staub. I don't know, ashes to ashes and dust to dust, I think they say. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. And this is not in a far future, it's like tomorrow, like more or less now. It's like now. Yeah, what's the, And we are something completely different. We are the spiritual being. We are eternal. We have nothing to do with this. But we have something to do with this because of our attachments and our identifications. And now we have to take it serious. And now we're engaged. And now we're entangled. Now we take it and we suffer also through this. Yeah. So Krishna consciousness is this. It's very radical, of course. It's a very radical. But to this consciousness, we don't come just in a couple of days. It's like when we work our way out of our attachments and entanglements, we unstring these knots. This is where we come to this consciousness. And then we are very free and liberated and detached. But we cannot do this now. That would be superficial. It will not work. And also because we are still in the world and we are entangled and we have our obligations and all that, we have to fulfill that. Yeah. Rarely you can say to your mother, father, wife, children, boss, and whatever, you are all an illusion. And I have nothing to do with you and anyone anymore, and Om Tat Sat. This is not working. This is artificial. But if we come to this consciousness, to the real purification, to the real process, then you will really see like that. Yeah? But you cannot do this in an artificial and premature way. Yeah. So. Yeah, so this is now our situation. So we have to understand where do we want to get in life. Yeah, and Krishna consciousness, the scriptures, they are like a wonderful way how to set the goal, the spiritual goal. This is where I want to come to in my development of consciousness and of my being. But then we have to see, but where am I? You know, if I'm very close to that, okay, it's just a small step. But if we are kind of far away from it, we have to see, okay, what's the path, you know? How to come there and do it very practical. You know? And in that sense, it's also interesting that we as devotees who are always trying to give this Krishna consciousness, spirituality to others, definitely there is not a focus, I wouldn't say a focus, but we can see that if someone is kind of closer to this spiritual life than others, and definitely this is where we want to invest and help. Like when I came to Krishna consciousness, I was young, and I was young and I was not entangled. Let's say like this. I was young and I was not entangled. What do I mean with entanglement? I did not have many obligations. I didn't have to do more or less anything. So I was like in a perfect situation to become a devotee. And the devotees, they understood it also, and they told it to me. They said, yeah, you can become a devotee, you can live in the temple, you can chant Hare Krishna, you can do all that, what you really want to do. You don't have to do anything, because I did not have a family, I did not have children, did not have a wife, right? I had no job, I was just a student. And at the beginning student, if I would have been like close to my PhD or master or something, I hope the devotees would have advised me differently. But at that time they said, you're just in the second term, zweite semester, just come. Just come, what's the thing? Yeah, it's true, just the beginning. My father did not understand that, of course. He said, why, you have to study and do this and that. I said, it's okay. Yeah, I was quite free, I was free. What I was studying? I was studying communication and Kommunikationswissenschaften und Publizistik, and I was studying philosophy and Tibetology and Buddhism. Ja, so. Ich habe Tibetisch gelernt. Tibetologie. Yeah, also just 2 semesters. Not even, because you never heard this story? It's very funny, actually. It's funny on my cost. It's quite stupid. I was reading Bhagavatam before I started studying, and so I really liked this. And then I was okay, I want to study that in university. And I thought, I don't know why, maybe because my first book was the 8th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam 8th canto, and on the cover there is, who is on the 8th canto? Who knows? What's the picture on the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in the front? Nobody knows? There's this picture of Vamanadev, a small Vamana standing with the demigods, and how can you know when you see this book that this is Vamanadev, one of the avatars and all that? I thought it's little Buddha. It must be some little Buddha, the Buddha child or something, and the Sanskrit and all. I thought it's Buddhism, and I liked it. So I inscribed for Buddhism. because I was not an Indian in my last life. I was, and in my whole life I had, I wouldn't say issues with India, but India was for me, that was like, I liked, China, all this Kung Fu stuff, and I liked America, and, as a child you have somehow, when you look into the international world, somehow feelings for this or that, even Africa maybe, but India was the only country in the whole world, I think, which was for me unknown, and weird, and I was playing a lot computer games, and there was one game which I played a lot. It was called Street Fighter 2. Maybe someone of you knows this. I was playing this on the Super Nintendo, so it's quite long. And this was a fighting game. And there was one guy whom I never played, I never liked to play, and this was the Indian guy. Dalsim. You know the Dalsim? Who can make like his long arms? No. I like Chong-Li, from China. I like this American guy. So anyway, so I could not have thought that this, what I like so much, this Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, is from India. Somewhere, when I was starting, because you have your conceptions. So I started studying Buddhism. And then I was going there and I learned Tibetan and the science. And it's actually, this is what we learned right from the beginning, that Tibetan language is based on Sanskrit. And it's a simplified Sanskrit. The sounds are more simple. The alphabet is not as elaborate as the Sanskrit alphabet. And we learned to write and a little bit of the history and the philosophy. And then one day I was there in my classroom and I was reading Bhagavatam, because at that time I always carried the Bhagavatam with me. Wherever I went and always read Bhagavatam. And I showed the book to one colleague of mine and showed him this book and started preaching to him. And he was shocked. He said, "Why do you tell me that? And why do you talk about God? We are Buddhists." And I said, "What? We don't believe in God?" I was really, as I say, like, I think everything mixed, just reading. I read all kind of esoteric stuff at that time, and I was smoking. So I think it was a whole mess, of my understanding what is what. I was shocked. What? And I immediately changed from Tibetan and Tibetologie und Buddhismuskunde into philosophy. I immediately switched. I said, no, I don't want to do these atheists, these guys, because they didn't like Bhagavatam and all that. So I switched into philosophy, which was not any better, of course, because I had to give then a lecture. Then there was we had an Asian philosophy class, and everyone had to prepare something. And I prepared a lecture on the Ishopanishad, and which starts with Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnam Purnamudachyate and all that. So I quoted this verbatim of Prabhupada's Ishopanishad, the Supreme Personality of God, that everything what emanates from Him is perfect and all that. And I prepared a whole lecture for that. And I started with that, and the professor cut me immediately off and said, "What? Hinduism? There is no personality in Hinduism, theism, and all that." And immediately stopped my lecture and work out a new thing. I could not even present the whole thing. Of course, now if he would say such a thing, I would like smash him to pieces because it's nonsense. It's not true. And he was more focused anyway on Chinese philosophy. It was an Asian philosophy class, and when I presented that, what I wanted to talk about, like about Vedas, Ishopanishad, and all that, he was already, "I'm not so expert in that, but yeah, you can do that." So he knew nothing about Vaishnavism and all that. So anyway. So I was really in the beginning of my whole academic thing, and in that time I met the devotees, and I was already reading this 1 year when I was on university, Prabhupada's books, like a lot. Before I went to the temple, I was already in the 4th canto or at the Bhagavad Gita, so I was quite convinced already. So the devotees said, "You're only in the 2nd term. Why don't you just join?" Yeah. And it was the best thing to do, take me out of the whole material life and immediately become purified. And I moved in a temple and I never smoked again, I never took drugs again, never drank anything, just like this. As we know, it's very powerful to become devotee, and I'm so happy for that. But so thank you for your question, of course, sidetracked me a bit, but what I want to say is that if someone is closer to disentanglement, use the chance to become a devotee. That's what I always tell also in my live streams. I tell them in my videos that if you are already inspired by Krishna consciousness and life is somehow rather presenting to you this opportunity, then you have to use it. And it's like you are on the train station and you're waiting for the train comes and stands in front of you. And if you don't use this small chance of this couple of minutes, the train will be gone and it will not turn around. Oh, we forgot someone. It's gone. Because life now, this is like, there's really this door is opening and you never know if it opens again. Because then you keep saying, maybe I will do it later. I will do it later. And then suddenly, you don't join, you don't move into the temple, and you walk out of the building, and suddenly this girl, ding, 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 and you, oh yes, sir, and you fall in love, and you marry, and you have 3 children, and then you have this and that job, and then you divorce, and then you marry again, and then devotees come and say, yeah, join. I say, sorry, I cannot. I have to pay alimente. I have the second wife. I have this job. Impossible. Impossible. How do you say it? Impossibility? How do you say in Italian? Bello, bello, impossibile. There was this song, huh? Wasn't it? Was there some song there? Huh? Wasn't there some song? Yeah. From the 80s there was some song. Bello, bello, impossibile. Yes, I know this song. But what does it mean actually?
It means beautiful, so beautiful, but just
impossible. Okay, yeah, exactly. That's it. I like this song. Yeah, that's Krishna. It's so beautiful. That's almost impossible to be so beautiful, so nice. No? So, and most of the time, this is when we are younger, then we are just open for this. It's easier, and then, yeah. Anyway. So this disentanglement is very important. Yeah, and this is what Krishna says also in Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharma parityaja. Give it up. Give it up. Surrender. And these are great souls who can do that, who walk this path. Like another great Italian, Francis of Assisi. Yeah, he did this. He was living in great riches. He was super rich. His father was like a cloth merchant and all that. He was super rich. And then one day he heard this call of God, and he walked out of it like that. He just walked out, and no one could understand that. Why are you going away? He said, no, I want to serve God. I want to be spiritual. I don't want this anymore. And he built more or less his own church, right? His own order. Yeah, he became so. But these are the great saints who can do that, who have this higher realization. And we cannot be that saints, maybe, but we can follow as good as we can. Like we follow Prabhupada. We see his example, and Prabhupada is also very merciful, because he doesn't say, okay, shave your head and move into the temple, right? Shave your head, move into the temple. Wouldn't be. Men struggle with it also, so how would women struggle with it? I had some hair before I joined. Maybe some of you also. Yeah. Yeah, so it's very difficult, give up the hair. Yeah. So, but it's not like this. Prabhupada so often says, do whatever you do, stay in your situation, but just include Krishna into your life. So this is, and see how much you can do. And of course, the more you can surrender, the easier and happier your life becomes. Yeah. But all that, what I'm speaking about, is starting because of this alcohol stuff. No? So these are certain things we have to give up, isn't it? Certain things you have to give up. You understand? I cannot do this anymore. And for some, this is the alcohol. For some, other drugs. For some, other tendencies. Sometimes we are, too critical of others, or envious, or we're proud, and all that. So everyone has to see, where is my enemy, my inner enemy, and how can I deal with him, right? What is really blocking my not just my spiritual life, but also my life in general. So there are always some enemies, and sometimes new enemies come up. You defeat the one, and then the other comes up. Now again, someone. Yeah, this is spiritual life. Spiritual life is a life of deep introspection, self-study, svadhyaya. Actually, the word in Sanskrit is svadhyaya, which is translated as studying the scriptures. Right? Brahmacharis are obliged to study the scriptures, svadhyaya. But svadhyaya means actually study yourself. That's to study the self. Dhyaya means also meditation. Meditate on yourself, study yourself. Go deep into yourself and see what is there. Who am I? And who am I not? Because most of that, what you see when you look inside, is not what you are not. Because that what we are is a pure spiritual being. This is all what we are. And everything what is not this pure spiritual being is not what we are. Yeah? And the devotee can do that. He is not afraid to see these inner demons. And he will recognize them and make it a mission. I don't want to have this anymore. Yeah. And in the beginning, it's a bit shocking. When I first encountered one of my big demons, it was shocking. It was not nice. Yeah. And when I moved in the temple, I joined with one of my best friends, not with one of mine, with my best friend actually, who will come very soon to Simhachalam. Yeah. Yeah. And we were our whole life more or less together. We are good friends. And I can say that without pride and without offending him that, and sometimes in such relationships we have one who is a bit more dominating. Let's say like this. Positive or negative way, however. But this was more my part. So I was, and he will agree. So no offense. And also I introduced him to the Krishna consciousness because I got these books and I was preaching to him. He was like the first person I preached to extensively, right? Very good. So I was ahead of him in that sense. But then it happened, because I was still more entangled with the university and the flat and all kinds of stuff. And he suddenly was inspired. I want to join. I want to become a devotee. And he went with the devotees to India, actually, in 2002, beginning of 2002. And he was working. He was at that time still working. And he quit his job and he moved then in the temple when he came back from India. And I was still in my material life. And I joined maybe 3-4 months later. But in the beginning time, 3-4 months is like a huge thing. You make lots of advancement, you learn all that. So I joined after him, and suddenly he was way ahead of me. Way ahead of me. He knew everyone, he had already relationships. I was the new guy. I had no clue in the temple situation, all that. Anyway, so I was living in the temple, and then my relationship with him changed also a bit. It was not as before. And I suddenly recognized so many things in him which were off, and strange. And I saw how superficial he is, and how non-professional he is, and actually how ugly he is. And how, he was really, really, I thought, my God, how could this be my friend all these years? He's ugly and stupid. Really stupid, I read, my God, he's so stupid. How can he be so happy, with everyone being so stupid and ugly? So I was really seeing the truth. Because of Krishna consciousness, your consciousness becomes purified and you see the reality. Yeah, you're laughing, so you know what I'm talking about, right? Sometimes when you like when you're in a relationship and you love the guy, and then suddenly something turns, love goes away, and you see how he really is, and say, "My God, how could I love this caveman?" Yeah, my God, how could I love him? Or the man thinks, "How could I love this witch or something?" Say, "My God," because it's interesting. Love makes an illusion, and suddenly this. Prabhu says that the most ugly person becomes very beautiful if you love her. I think every one of us had this experience, you see the reality. Anyway, I saw my friend as he is because of purification of Krishna consciousness. But then one morning I was chanting in the temple room and again looking at him. My God, this pretender, you know. And suddenly some like very silent but persistent voice said inside me, "You are envious." And my ego, of course, no, I'm not. What? Why should I be envious of him? No way, no. I'm here, the superhero man, guru type, pure devotee, and but this voice persisted. And at one point, I had to admit, I see him in such a bad light because I'm completely envious of him because he is more advanced than me and this and that. And then I really had to go into this whole inner acceptance thing and whatever. And then at one point I went to him and said, "My dear friend," and this and that, and "I'm sorry, but I somehow don't like you anymore because I'm envious. I'm so envious of you, and this, I'm sorry." And he had no issue with it at all. Whatever. He was... And we had like a talk, you know, as friends, and everything was fine. And it was really like this, and all of us know that there was such a heavy burden all these days, and it was lifted because we talked about it and forgave each other, whatever, cleared it. Yeah? We cleared it, and it was very, very good and wonderful. But it was just an example and this is just a minor example, but at that time I was so much in ignorance, I did not know all these things, so it was a big deal for me at that time. No, but we have to be really seeing these inner enemies and false tendencies and admit it and work with it and overcome it, and then we feel better. And now I'm not envious of him anymore, and still the envy was carrying me a long time, also on book distribution, on Sankirtan, when you travel with maybe even a Bhakta, and then he distributes more books than you, and you say, and you come back in a van, and he's like, "Wow, I was empowered, I distributed today 45 books," and you were struggling with your 10 books, and you say, "Oh, really? Wonderful, great, good, okay, shut up and let's go, get to another city or something." And you, "Why are you angry? What's going on?" It's like Bhakta goofy or something already. "Nothing, all fine, come on." This is the envy on Sankirtan, Oh, that's also very intense. Anyway, we have to work ourselves out of envy, lust, greed, anger, and all kinds of weird things we have. So you have to see, and you overcome that, and there comes the next, but you get purified, and it's fine, and you will look back and say, "Man, I'm so happy that I'm now purified of this and that." But it will continue for a long time, don't worry, because there's so many bothersome things in us. But what I want to say is that this process works and it's great, and we become more refined and more purified. And our gurus and advanced devotees, they show that. They are so pure. That's why we say pure devotee. Pure. There's no contamination anymore. They are so humble. They are so dedicated, so determined. Great examples. Yeah. So this is the point I want to end. It was the point I started off also, and I end with that this is why Krishna consciousness, especially in such a setting, is very, very powerful, because of association with people who are on this path, who are more matured and advanced than you, and you can learn so much from them. How did you overcome that? Did you have ever issue with this? How was it? Isn't that? Yeah, we have to ask questions. And devotees are very open and willing to help and give some good advice. Yeah. And that's why sadhu sangha, association with devotees, is most important. So all of us who are here, either long-term or short-term or temporarily, this is the chance you can use. It's not just for, of course also for making friendship, hanging out and whatever, but also to go deep into your self-exploration and use the experience of those who are a bit further on the path than you. Okay, Hare Krishna. So any questions or... yes, Gopi Gita.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for that. One point that you said was that devotees naturally maybe look at their inner demons, to work on them. But sometimes it can be that as devotees we get into that introspection level and it goes off into a weird angle, or one is actually not able to look. Could you give some more points in there? You know, there's a fear factor involved too. Like when you look into what's going on.
But what could you encounter?
Like, say you have your envy, you could just then for the next 20 years be sure that your friend is ugly and whatever else, because you're not, you got stuck at that point.
Yeah.
So what was that sort of turn? I mean, you said something happened, but what if that doesn't come naturally? What if?
For me, I would say some things just become obvious, and it's not just, I don't have to search like too crazy for it. It's just that I would say if you have like a good example of someone, or if you have a good example of how you would like to be, if there's example, or you have like a vision of yourself, this is how I would like to be, or even should be, then you have like this a comparison between how you are and how you would like to be or should be. And then it becomes quite obvious where you're off. Because there is so much, and there's so much I have to work on.
From an outside point of view, you made a big leap for when you went from this person is this, and it's because of my envy. That's why I'm saying I have personally seen where people don't seem to make that leap and then in the end just leave the temple, basically. So some points,
Yeah, of course, talking with someone who knows and someone to whom you can open and tell your issues and problems, and then you see how you can progress from there. But first there has to be a desire to change. Of course, if you're stuck and you say, no, I want to be like that, keep it like it is, I don't want to work on myself, I don't want to change, no one can help you. So there must be a desire. This is the first thing, I want to be a pure devotee. This should be our desire. I want to be a pure devotee. I want to love Krishna. I want to be pure. And I want to do what is necessary. And some things I know it shouldn't be, but I cannot change this now. But later I will change it. So I focus on that, what I can change now. And there are some other things, and then I work on it, and I build new habits or whatever, and take it serious. And then the others come later. But it needs this desire, I want to become a devotee. Right? And Prabhupada gives this example of the man who sleeps. It's very, very easy to wake someone who is asleep. It's very easy, right? But it's impossible to wake someone who is pretending to sleep, right? Who willingly keeps their eyes shut. And we should be like, no, I don't want to be asleep, I want to be awake and do everything what is necessary, right? So that needs really this inner desire. I want to be a pure devotee, and it's a long way, but still, step by step. Shanai, Shanai, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, step by step, I work myself there. Or?
Being real with where you're at. Right?
Yeah, being real and know where
authentic.
Being authentic and know what I can do really. There are some certain things I cannot do now, but later it will come. But what can I do now? Mm-hmm. And then you have the help of others who can help you in finding out what is now necessary for you and how you can work on this problem. Okay, any other questions? You had now lots of time to think about a question during I answered a question. Shorikont, Subar.
Actually, I had a very similar question to Bhagavad Gita which you had now.
Okay. No questions?
Mine was similar.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so I answered 3 questions at once. Similar questions.
Mine was, what would be the step after I have the realization? In Germany we say, eigentlich ist der erste Schritt zur Besserung. But what is next? Like, you have to
I don't know what comes first, either the desire to change or the Einsicht. Can be also the Einsicht, but then, oh, do I want to do that now? Yeah, for sure. Einsicht. Insight, more or less insight, if you like an insight. Yeah, the desire must be there. Yeah? And okay, I have this revelation now, this insight, and this is good to know, but how to deal with it now, right? And then if you desire, yeah, I really want to change that, yeah, then you have to think about it, make a plan and talk with others about it and then study it and research it. It might be like envy, yeah, if it's this envy thing, yeah. Yeah, then you research and see what is Prabhupada saying. There's some powerful instructions by Prabhupada about certain issues, right? And there might be just one sentence where I say, wow, that's so clear, it's like a slogan, it's like a mantra, I have to remember that, that helps me already a lot. And, of course, association with those who have realized that already, have overcome that envy, who are not envious. How are they behaving? How are they dealing with others and this and that? Yeah, so you have to really work on it then, research it. Whatever it is, no? That's lust, anger, and greed are the 3 gates to hell, right? So envy is also very bad. So, yeah. Okay, sorry?
Also ich hatte mal die Erfahrung gemacht, Krishna kennt uns ja am besten und weiß, wie wir reagieren, was bei uns noch unstimmig ist und was wir gerne ändern würden. Und ich hatte eine Kollegin, mit der war ich dann einmal am Tag draußen während der Arbeitszeit und dann haben wir eine Tasse Kaffee und eine Zigarette dazu. So ging das immer weiter. Und dann sagte die einmal, so, also ab heute wird nicht mehr geraucht. Kein Kaffee mehr und nichts rauchen. Ja? Und dann habe ich gedacht, ja, aber wie soll das? Das habe ich mir ja selber immer schon manchmal so ausgedacht und immer wieder ist man rückfällig geworden. Und dann, und die hat das gesagt und von dem Zeitpunkt an haben keinen Kaffee mehr und keine Zigarette. Ja? Und, aber das merkt man, dass das Krishna arrangiert hat irgendwie. Ja? Also alleine hätte ich das nicht so geschafft. Er hat meine Kollegin als Mittel benutzt,
Ja.
um dass wir beide davon abkommen. Ja,
Ja, danke. Warte, lass mich das kurz übersetzen und damit auch enden. She just made the example, which is very good, that she had a colleague and she was smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee in their breaks. And then one day, this friend of her, with whom she was doing that, said, from today on, I don't drink any more coffee and I don't smoke. And through this, she could also stop it because she had this example. It's really true. If you have sometimes this example of someone who mastered something, it's really empowering you also, right? And saying, wow, I can do that also. Oh, if he or she can do that, I can do that. I want to do that too. So just these examples are very powerful, very important. Yeah. Good. Thank you so much for your kind association and attention. I wish you all the best in today's day in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande.